Hey guys, welcome to Oklahoma History Center. I'm up here in this beautiful building right across from Capitol. Now you can see the Capitol right there. That is not some poster or picture. That's the real Capitol. There's a screen there. You can barely see it. So anyway, I'm up here at this History Center to show you a plane. So check out this plane right here. This is hanging in the History Center. It is made by Lockheed company, and this is the same tag number is Amelia Earhart flew around the world. Can you believe that? So I'm here to kind of show you the vintage plane, get you in the mood of a history and a vintage plane. So my friend Robert Clark, born in the 1920s, he's 98 years old, is one of my customers. I listed his property, sold in Oklahoma City, and started talking to him. He's got so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and he talks about so much history. So he told me about a book somebody published, talks about British Air Force had a base in Ponca City. So stay tuned to his story. It's an amazing. I happened to visit with him one day in his living room, sitting on the couch, listening to him. Then he started telling the story. I picked up the phone and started recording. So it's my edited version, beautiful story, and I will put more stuff later. But here you go. Listen to Robert Clark. I am looking at the book called The Royal Air Force in Oklahoma.
A gal named Paula Benson
Okay, who is it?
lives in Ponca, and she wrote this book.
Hey, tell the people who you are. What's your name? Bob Clark.
On the mic.
Yeah.
My name is Bob Clark.
You're from Ponca City?
I am from Ponca City. I'm now an old guy of 98, and I'm here in this retirement home. But I'm telling Abby
Yeah.
about this flying school
Right here, we talking
the
about.
British had in Ponca City. And it was really something for Ponca City. Ponca had never seen a bunch of British kids. And all of a sudden, hundreds of British kids descended on Ponca City to take flying. Pre-flight, primary, basic, and advanced. From there, they went over to England, were assigned either single engine or multi-engine craft where they went into the service, flew over Germany, were shot down and killed. A lot of them were killed. And these kids left behind mothers and dads, left behind wives, girlfriends, children. And these kids, the guys gave their lives for their country in World War II.
So they lived in Oklahoma, and so why they choose Ponca City?
I don't know. Good question. The other town in Ponca, where the British had a flying school, was in Miami, up in the very northeast corner of Oklahoma. I suspect the reason that Ponca City was chosen because it had a good airport. It had several hangars, it had a good runway, had a good tower, and it had the facilities. But when the British came in, though, they built their own facilities at U.S. expense, let me add. But
Their own airport?
They had barracks, they had officers' clubs, they had non-CO clubs, they had swimming pool, they had tennis courts, they had a rugby and soccer field, they had barracks. There were about 5 big barracks. There were schools, they had classrooms, they had everything. And on weekends, the British kids got to come into town. We, along with many other people, had the British kids in for dinners and for lunches. And they'd come to our house on Christmas or Thanksgiving. We'd have a turkey, and have cornbread dressing, giblet gravy, and we fed them like it was a king. And they loved it. Many of the British kids had girlfriends in Ponca City. They even married some of them. Some of the British kids liked Ponca City so much that after the war, they came back to Ponca City to live. Went to work for Conoco or someplace else in town. So we had quite a British influence.
Did you ever kept in touch with any of those people?
But many people did. Oh yeah, you bet. I wrote to them, and that's the reason the book was published. A girl named Paula Denson, who now is about 84 or 85 years old, wrote the book. And there was a girl, a young girl, who taught link flying in a link trainer there at the Darr School. The British school was called the Darr School, D-A-R-R. There was a guy named Darr, and he put a lot of money into it, so they named the school after him. Anyway, so the British kids, this girl was a Darr, and she grew up and she collected lots of letters, memorabilia, pictures, and so forth. And she kept writing to all these kids until she was 60 and 70 years old. She was an old gal, and she was still writing the children, the brothers and sisters of these guys. Many of them were dead now. They died during the war or shortly after. But she kept up with them, and she got boxes and boxes of memorabilia. Well, Paula Denson, she was president of the Northern Oklahoma Historical Society, got to be friends with this woman, and while unknown to the woman, Paula took all of that boxes of memorabilia, sorted it all out, stacked it chronologically and alphabetically, so forth. And Paula then proceeded to write a book about the school. The book is the one in your hand.
Is Paula still alive?
Yeah, she lives here in Oklahoma City. I think she is. I haven't talked to her in about 8. Well, Paula is the editor of my book.
Yeah.
And she's the one that really, her book is beautiful, Paula. I think she's still alive. But anyway, she got a lot of information, both about the school in Ponca City and the school in Miami. And
So when was your book published?
My book was published in 2008.
Yeah, so this makes
book
sense.
was published-
Right here it says February 18, 2007. She says,
7, I said 4.
Bob and Carol, thanks for sharing some of your history. Paula Denson.
Her husband works for Conoco. He's a farmer. He was a refinery man. And Paula, though, she was a dental assistant for 25 years in Ponca City. And she put together this book. Well, it's a pretty good book, considering she didn't have a whole lot of information to work with. Because by the time she wrote the book, most of these people were dead. And they all had some memorabilia, some letters, some pictures that she went over to England 4 times, visited with the heirs and relatives of these boys, and collected some pictures and letters and so forth. Came back, and on the basis of that information, she published this book. I wanted to show it to you because I talked to you about it.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, I thought you'd like it.
I'm trying to think.
There is a picture in there, Abby, of some of the Ponca City girls who dated these boys.
So there was all 100% boys or girls too, British
What?
people?
Were they all men or were there some female?
No, there's no female.
It was
These
all
are
boys.
all men. Back in those days, there were no female cadets, just male cadets. World War II, they didn't have female cadets in those days. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's pretty wild.
Ponca City benefited, I would say, culturally, by having all of these kids come over there, and they were English boys, Ponca City had never seen English boys. Now they saw a whole bunch of them, hundreds of them. There were always 250 English boys at this school at any one time. Then they would graduate, 250 more would come in. They would graduate, 250 more.
How many years schooling was? 2 years?
Well, they came over beginning in 1941, latter part of 41, or middle for and to 1940. About 3 years was all. And after the war was over, of course, they just discontinued the school. No reason to have it anymore. The school was torn down, I'd say just about a year or two later. Because they tore the school down. Hell, they had all those barracks, those hangars, those officers' clubs. They had all of these facilities. And they just tore them down. The British didn't have mascots, but they were on their best behavior. They were told by the British government they were going to Oklahoma and to learn Oklahoma ways, learn how, and they were on their best behavior. All of them were really nice kids. They were all intelligent because they were going to be pilots, they were going to be flyers, they were going to go into combat, and having missed them, many of them were killed during the war. They went over there, learned how to fly in Ponca City, went back to England, flew over Germany, were shot down and killed.
Wow.